It's time for Recipe of the Day. There are some ingredients that I always have on hand, and so when I'm making my meal plan for the week and I'm looking at a recipe that calls for one of those ingredients, I don't add it to my grocery list because I know I have it. Except sometimes it turns out that I don't. You know what I mean? You think you have ketchup because you always have ketchup, and then the recipe calls for ketchup, you go to make it, and you don't have ketchup. That's fine. If it's ketchup, you can always just use some tomato paste, and you know I love that tube of tomato paste that you keep in the fridge, so you've got that. If you don't have the ketchup, it's going to work just fine. But what happens to me too often, and I don't know why, is that the ingredient that I think I have that I don't have is barbecue sauce. It happens quite often that in the back of my mind, I'm like, oh yeah, we'll just put some barbecue sauce on those chicken drumsticks tomorrow night. Like that kind of thought. And then I go to make the dinner and there is no barbecue sauce. What do? I have a really great basic barbecue sauce mixture that I can whip together from things that I usually have also. And then I can doctor it up and I can add other flavors to it, but it's just these basic 3 ingredients that I usually have that I mix together and can use in place of barbecue sauce just about anywhere that barbecue sauce is called for or would be good. So the 3 basic ingredients are ketchup, plain old yellow mustard, and brown sugar. It's 1 cup of ketchup, 1/4 cup of yellow mustard, just plain old yellow mustard, and 1/4 cup of brown sugar. You mix those 3 things together and you just have a really good base that has the sweet and salt of the ketchup, more sweet but like rich sweet from the brown sugar, and then that nice round tang from the yellow mustard, you know? You can, of course, vary this in a whole bunch of ways. You can use tomato paste instead of the ketchup for sure. You can use tomato sauce also instead of the ketchup. That's going to work. It makes it a little bit thinner sauce, but sometimes that's what you want, right? You can use different kinds of mustard. You can use hot mustard. I wouldn't use the full 1/4 cup. Maybe half of that would be the hot mustard and half would be the yellow. You could use Dijon. And then instead of the brown sugar, you could do honey or molasses or maple syrup. Any of those work. So there is your base. And then I always add a little bit of garlic powder, 1/2 teaspoon, and some Worcestershire sauce, 1/2 teaspoon, a little bit of salt, 1/4 teaspoon. And depending on who is going to be eating this with me, I will sometimes add some hot sauce, 1/8 of a teaspoon up to 1/2 teaspoon, depending how hot I want it. That is still just a pretty basic sauce, right? Ketchup, mustard, brown sugar, garlic powder, Worcestershire sauce, and salt. But it does just do in a pinch when you need that barbecue sauce and you don't want to have to run to the store to get it. That is going to work for you. And then once you've made it, you can start adding other things to it to just go with whatever it is you're doing. If you're doing something a little bit more Italian flavored, you could go in with some Italian seasoning. If you want something a little smokier, adding cumin or smoked paprika or both is going to be really great. Cajun seasoning and Creole seasoning, blackening spice, those all work in here. And you know what actually works is taco seasoning or fajita seasoning, either homemade or store-bought. You sprinkle that in there instead of the salt because those are pretty salty. So skip the salt and then just sprinkle that in there to taste. And it is such a great flavor combination. You won't even know that it is the taco seasoning. It just tastes like a really good barbecue sauce, you know? So if you want to make your own barbecue sauce and not buy it, now you have a recipe. Or if you, like me, find yourself needing barbecue sauce, thinking you have barbecue sauce and realizing that you don't, you know what to do. I will put the link to this recipe in the show notes for this podcast episode, or you can head to cookthestory.com/ROTD and get it there. Everything there is arranged by date. So it's helpful to know that today is May 25th of 2025. And if you love my recipes and all of my cooking ideas, make sure you're following me on social media. I'm Cook the Story everywhere that I play out in that world. That is Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, and Pinterest for sure. Find me over there, Cook the Story. I have tons of delicious recipes shared over there all the time. Videos, pictures, reviews. You will be inspired over there all the time. I'm Christine Pittman from cookthestory.com, thecookful.com, the all-new chicken cookbook, and from this podcast, Recipe of the Day. I hope you have a great day. Let's get cooking.